Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emmanuel, and today we're going to be learning about the URLSession's download task. Now in the last video we learned about the data task. We learned how to make a request using the get and post methods, and today we're going to learn how to download an image off the internet, and we're going to also learn how to show progress. So while the image is downloading, we're going to show the progress, right? Now before we get to that, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to Joy, who won last video's coupon, and we're gonna have another one in this video, so stay tuned. All right, let's get to it, guys. Go ahead and create a new project. A single view application is very okay. So here I have my main.storyboard. I have my view controller over here. Everything is blank. So the first thing I want us to do is to design our view. So what I want to have here is, first of all, an image view. Okay, so we're going to display the image that we download. So let me just take this all the way to the top like this. I'm going to add constraints just like this. I'm not going to pay so much attention to the UI, guys, but feel free to play around and make yours better than mine. And you could also share. I'd like to see. So we have our image view over there. So the next thing we're going to add is a progress bar. So I said we're going to show the progress while the image is downloading, right? So I'm just going to add that over there and add constraints to zeros like that. Great. So the next thing I want to do is to have a button that is going to trigger the download. So I'm going to drag a button right here in the middle. So like I said, I'm not paying much attention to the UI. So, make yours better and I'll be happy. So I'm just going to call this download or start download or whatever. So let's go ahead and create outlets to for all of these designs. So here the image view, I'm going to call this download image view. And for the progress bar, let's just take it from over here. Hold down Control in case you don't know, and drag it right here. My friend, stay one place. So progress bar. You can call it whatever you want. Now for the download button, I'm gonna make this an IB action instead. Bring it down there. I'm gonna say download button clicked. Oh yeah, beautiful. So I think we have all of these sorted out and we're okay. So I guess one more thing I'd like to do is to show the percentage. Okay, so I'm gonna drag a label right here and I'm gonna center this to, well, make this to be in the center of the image view. So control click drag to this, center vertically, and let's also do the same thing for horizontally. Why aren't you showing, my friend? Come on, Chihuahua. All right, so yeah, we have that centered. Let's go ahead and just make this a little bit bolder. Cool. So I'm gonna make an outlet for this guy as well. I'm gonna call this progress label. Sweet. So we have all of these set up. Well, let me just add a background color to this so it doesn't look ugly initially. So I'm gonna use the, should I use black? Green. I like black, I don't know why. So I'm gonna use black, and well, this is what we have, man. So we can now head over to our view controller and it's time to get to work. So the first thing I want us to do is to get the URL. So what image do we want to download? So I'm just gonna open my browser, and I love dogs. I say it again. I'm gonna just get images of dogs. So let's just say Rottweiler. All right. I need an image, please. So let's use this one. I like it. It's a beautiful dog. Okay, so that's the address. So I'm just gonna paste this. I'm just gonna paste this right here. So I'm gonna create a constant called URL string. And this is going to be equal to the URL of our dog, this one we just got here. And again, if you don't know how URL sessions work, I'd recommend that you go over to the previous video and just go through it. It's going to give you some like introductory knowledge of what we're going to be doing here. Okay, so yeah, that's that. So now we have our URL string. So if you remember from the last video, when you want to make a request, we need a URL session, and one of the parameters is a URL. So over here we have a URL string, so we need to get this as a URL. So what I'm going to do is use a guard statement and say let URL be equal to URL like this. I'm going to pass in a string called URL string. So we need to make sure that this is a valid URL. So otherwise, I'm just going to add a print statement here and say this is an invalid URL. Okay? So otherwise, well, here we're going to return. So at this point, we have a valid URL. The next thing we need to do is to make a request using the URLSession's download task. Now, from the last video, the URL data task, remember, it returns a data object which is in memory. Okay? But for the download task, this isn't returning a data object. It is instead returning a location, a URL, to a file, a temporary file that was downloaded. We're going to see how this works, or we're going to see what it looks like in a bit. So what we need to do here is say URL session dot, and we're going to be using the shared instance, and we're going to say dot download task. And we're going to be passing the URL. So we have the URL like this. Okay? So the next thing we can do is to have our closure right here, which, as I said, returns 3 parameters. The first one is going to be the file URL, because it's returning a file or the URL to a temporary file. Okay? So the second thing we're going to have is our response. And the third one is error. So what we can do, of course, is to say if let error equals error, we want to print out our error. The error is, and we pass in error.localized description, else, or you can actually just stop there. Oh, well, let's just say else. So we're going to just assume that there's a URL over here. So what we're going to do for now is simply print out the URL. So I'm going to say the URL to the downloaded file is, and I'm going to pass in file URL. Shoot. What? File URL. Beautiful. And this, as you can see, is of type URL. Okay, good. So if I run this, would it work? Nope. Always remember to resume. And let's see. I think everything looks good. Let's go ahead and run this and see what we have step by step. So I just had to bring everything to the same screen. That's why you see all of this. So now we have our blank space, which is supposed to hold our image. This is our progress bar. We have our download button. If I click on this, let's see, what do we have here? You see the URL to the downloaded file is this, meaning this actually was successful because it didn't print the error. So we are on the right track. Now we're going to do something a little bit different, because I said we're going to keep track of the download progress. So for us to do that, we actually need to use the download task delegate. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just temporarily get rid of all of these closures like that. So we're not going to be doing that here. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to create a session. So I'm going to say let session be equal to URLSession, and we're going to pass in a configuration, a delegate, and a delegate queue. So for the configuration, I'm just going to use the default because that's all I need for now. For the delegate, I'm going to pass in self. And for the delegate queue, this simply tells us where we want the delegate methods to be executed in. So if you look at the application, what I want to do is simply update my UI. I'm not going to be doing any kind of heavy task, but I'm just going to show you, I'm going to be showing you, how do I say this? Some things to be mindful of. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say dot main. So I want this to be executed on the main queue, and that's it. So now we're going to be making our download, we're going to be making our request using our session over here. So I'm going to say session. Awesome. So we're done with this. The next thing we need to do is to actually implement our delegates. So I'm going to come over here and create an extension of my view controller class, and this is going to conform to the download delegates. Okay, so URLSession download delegates, and we need to implement, let's hold on, good. We need to implement one method, which is the did finish downloading. So at this point, what we want to do, I'm just going to add a print statement here and say we want to display the image. Great. Now the next thing we're going to need for us to know the progress is a download task, and we're going to be using this method that has the total bytes written, the total bytes expected to write. So that's what I'm going to be using. And here I'm going to create a constant called progress. This is going to be equal to our bytes written divided by our total bytes, nope, what am I writing? Total bytes written, actually, pardon me, and total bytes expected to write. Sweet. So we're going to perform this math here, and we're going to have access to, or we're going to get our progress. But what I want to do is actually I want to convert this to a float like this, and we're going to be able to update our progress bar. So I'm going to say progress bar dot progress. You can see that this expects a float, and this is going to be equal to our progress. Then again, we also need to update our label, so the download progress in the label. So I'm going to say progress label dot text, and this is going to be equal to, and I'm just going to put this in a string like that and say progress and add a percentage right there. Awesome, awesome. So this looks good. This should take care of our progress, and this should tell us that the image has been downloaded. All right, let's see where we're at. Let's see what this does for us. Okay, so I'm going to click download, and so we want to display the image, and you can see that the download progress was actually completed. So I didn't pay much attention to that, but let's see it again. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make this to, well, let's actually just print the progress and see if it actually did something. So the progress is, because it may just be too fast and we can't see the progress, so we're just going to print out progress here. So let's see. So download. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get a larger image. So it seems like this one is too fast. So let me see. I need, okay, this should be good. It should be good. And that even reminds me, I'm going to make this an aspect ratio, because it seems like this one isn't going to fit very nicely. Okay, so let's run this again and see, because we're getting just one progress, and I want it to, you know, have like steps. So I'm going to click on download, and please, awesome. So you can see that it actually had different stages, and imagine if you were downloading a movie or something, it's going to, you know, go through different stages. So yeah, that also reminds me, for the progress in the label right here, we don't want to display 0.4. Want to display something like 45%. So I'm going to multiply this big boy over here by 100. All right. So let us try it one more time. But before then, let's head back to this place. I'm going to change this actually to something more appealing. So let's use dark gray, and yeah, we can use this, or let's just use a brighter color. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm very indecisive today. So let's run this and see what we have now. Everything should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this print statement. I don't like messy log. How you doing, bro? All right, so click on download, and yeah, I saw something, so I think it's pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to say progress bar dot the progress. I'm going to set this to be 0 initially, just so that you know, it starts from the beginning. And actually, I'm going to need to do this. Well, let's see what it looks like. So download and 2 steps. So if we had a larger file, it's going to take a longer time. Sweet. Let's try it again. Let's pay attention to this. All right. This is very fast, but it's good. So the next thing we need to do is when the download is completed, we want to hide this value, or want to hide this percentage. We also want to display the image. So if we were using a data task, at this point we're going to have access to the data. I just need to you know, convert that to a UI image. But here we already saw that we have access to the URL to the temporary file that was downloaded. So what we're going to do here is we're going to read that file into memory. So you could actually do different things with the download task. You can decide to, let's say, move it from a temporary location to a more permanent location. You can do so many things with that file. But what we're going to do for the sake of this tutorial is simply just load it into our image view, okay? So the first thing we're going to need to do is to get the data. So I'm going to say let data be equal to data, and I'm going to say content of the URL. And the URL is location. So location over there. And this throws, okay? So we need to properly handle it. So you can use the do or the do catch. You can use the try and the question mark or the bang. So I have a video on this. If you don't know how to, or you don't understand this, I'm going to leave a link as well. So do well and check it out. So I'm just going to use the optional try like this, just because I'm, I don't know, probably lazy. And I'm going to say else. And let's just say print the data could not be loaded. And we're going to return this like that. So at this point, we know that we have the data. The next thing we want to do is to convert this data to an image. So I'm going to say let image be equal to UI image. And we're going to be passing in data like this. We have access to the data. And finally, we're going to say download image view.image. This is going to be equal to our image like that. And everything should be good. Let's go ahead and run this and let's see what we have. So I'm going to click download, and it tried to download and everything worked good. All right, sweet. So again, what I'm going to need to do over here is say progress label dot is hidden. This is going to be equal to true, true. Right, and whenever we want to make, so whenever this button is clicked, we want to make this not hidden. So it always shows whenever we want to do a new download. Now let's see what this looks like. Well, it seems like we're making progress. We're actually done, actually. So I'm going to click on download, and sweet. So it went out. If we click download again, it came back and it's done. So again, we may want to, you know, clear our image view. So I say download image view dot image, and this is going to be equal to nil, just so that the download starts again. So I'm just going to head back to the storyboard and make this an aspect fill. Shoot, what is that? So aspect fill, just so that it grows very well. So let's run this and see what we have this time. Okay, so download. Awesome, that's a beautiful dog. So our download is completed and everything works good. But there's something I want to point out because it's very important. Now the reason why we're able to do all of these here, updating our UI like this and like this, without having to come back to the main thread, because remember this actually has to be executed on the background thread. So the reason why this works is because, sorry about the noise in the back. Ugh. So this is because we have this. So we're saying that this should be executed in the main thread. So now let's try something out. If we wanted to execute this on an operational queue, so operation queue like this, I'm just going to create one. So this allows us to execute this synchronously. So if you want to understand how concurrent programming works, I actually have a video on that as well. I'm going to leave it in the description, and do well to watch it. So if we're to try this, this is not going to be executed on the main queue. It's going to be executed on the operation queue. So I'm going to run this so that we see the messy thing that's going to happen now. So I click on download. So you can see over here it says UI image must be used. So yeah, don't do that. It must be used on the main thread only. It's a command. So what we want to do, so let's say for example we're going to be doing some heavy tasks in this place. We wouldn't want to execute all of them in the main thread. So we may want to add all of these executions on the operation queue. Okay, so if we were to go that route, what we would need to do over here is make sure that our UI is executed on the main queue. So how do we do that? You can simply just say dispatch queue.main.async. So I'm going to move all of these in. And there's something I always like to do just to make sure that there's no retained cycle or memory leakage in any form. Just add weak self over here, add your in, and we're just going to update the UI if self is available. Does that make sense? It should. So this has been taken care of. The next thing we need to do is to do for this as well, because this is where the UI is updated. So I'm going to do the same thing, and you know what? I'm extremely lazy. So I'm going to copy this, paste this over here, and copy this like this. Let's go ahead and paste this like that. Self and self. Sweet. So let's go ahead and run this, and if there's any other crash, I'm gonna run away. So we click on the download button, and voila, everything works good. Let's click it one more time, and everything works good. So guys and girls, this is how we use the download task. By all means, try and make this UI better. And you know what? I actually forgot about the coupon. So today's coupon is going to be Rottweiler. So just write Rottweiler as your coupon code. Head over to Iberian.ng and order whatever you want. 5,000 Naira discount. Compliments of the season, guys. Okay, so if you have questions, as always, leave it in the comment section. I'll definitely read it and try to answer. And otherwise, please go ahead, if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, turn on notification, and see you guys next week.